Pro boxing fans here in Liverpool with Mark Tibbs. Mark, we're here in Liverpool for one of your fighters, Johnny Fisher, in his 8th bout. First of all, how are you? It's been a little while since I've seen you.
Yeah, well, I'm good, thank you. Yourself, you been all right?
All right, just
Getting through colds, flus and this cold weather. I will not let it beat me.
I know, but it's absolutely freezing out there. It's freezing. Let's talk about Johnny. I just spoke to him. I said to him, when do you want to start fighting for titles? You know, it seems like he's been around a little while now.
Yeah.
Slowly picking up experience. When is the ideal time in your eyes for Johnny to stop maybe going for the English and then moving on from there?
Yeah, I'd like to do that before around the end of this fight year, if you know what I mean. It'd be nice for him to knock on the door of an area title, English title, for sure. Yeah, I see that about right, but you know, we'll see how he's had 8 fights, and time at the end of the year could be knocking on door titles. Why not?
It seems like he's in a division where there's a lot of fighters, a lot of good fighters. You know, we got Solomon who's coming through, Fabio who's doing his thing, David Adley. So there's a lot of good names out there. At this present time, Johnny, where do you feel like he fits in regards to that? Do you feel like he needs a few more 8-rounders pushing on to 10-rounders, then put him into a fight with one of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, David Adelaide and Johnny Fishers of the world, they all need a couple more fights, you know what I mean, before they fight for their titles. But as I say, like towards the end of the year, it wouldn't surprise me if he's fighting for a title. I'd like to see him fighting for a title, yeah. But he's 24 years age. He's got heavyweights. They don't start getting their real dense and strength till they're like 30 years old. So like, what's the rush, man? Do you know what I'm saying? But we'll evaluate it fight by fight.
He still looks very lean for a heavyweight. Yeah. So he looks like he still puts some mass on for bigger opponents.
Well, do you know what? The other day he was in the ring, we was getting warm, and he kind of blew up in 2 rounds. He's just like that. You know, I mean, he looked nice and slim when he started, got a bit warm when he blows up. He's just a good athlete. He's actually a good mover, good athlete, and yeah, he's a pleasure to train because of his discipline.
Nice. Let's talk about the other fighters in your gym. I know Els stood there. She's just done, but she was doing some presenting for the zone. I'm sure she's gonna be fighting soon. But just talk to me about your other fighters. When can we expect them out?
Yeah, I've got dates for most of them actually. And
when's Ebanie out next?
Well, say Ebanie. I'm not too sure what's happening with Ebanie. She's had an operation. Okay. She had a hand operation directly after a world title defence, which she won. And she actually come in the gym the other day. She had a little move around with Elle. She used one hand, and so it must be getting better because she wouldn't move around. So I said, look, even if you're getting knocked your hand, we don't want to disturb good work. What's happened? She went, no. She's very professional like that. So yeah, but date-wise, I've only seen her once. I've only seen her once or twice, or maybe 3 times since her world title fight. And it was a flash in the pan. She's been in my gym doing bits and pieces, a bit of cardio, but she looks in great shape. She looks in good shape. Yeah.
Just moving on, let's talk about some of the stuff this week. In regards to heavyweights, I want to talk about Fury versus Usyk. Still talks are going on. It seems that the fight might not happen now. What do you make of this? Because obviously as boxing fans, people are getting disappointed now. We're not seeing the big fights that we want to see. That was going to be one of the biggest fights this year. Yeah. Last year we never got to see Fury versus AJ. Never got to see Spence versus Crawford. Seems like these big super fights are not just happening. Disappointment for the fans. Very,
very, very disappointing. And I mean, that fight, Usyk and Fury, is big business, and they're the 2 most cutest super fighters in the world today. So it will take a little while to get done, but I think they owe it to us and to us boxing people and fans. So they can't let us down. Them fuckers can't let us down. But I'm sure that will get their heads together and give us that fight, that unification fight. Brilliant fight. And I back Fury to win. I'm sorry I swore there. I'll back Fury to win because he's the bigger man. He is the real heavyweight. But listen, he can't have an off day with Usyk. So slicky and tricky. You know yourself. Very, very diligent. Best boxer in the world as well, as apart from Fury. Yeah.
When you hear that it's got to do more with money and splits, how much more disappointing is that? Because we know millions of pounds are being thrown there for that super fight. Yeah. We know the Saudis got involved and they were willing to throw a lot of money out. For whatever reason, they never agreed to deal with the Saudis. so he was going to come back to the UK. But when you hear that it's to do with money, and they both get millions, is that a bigger disappointment?
Well, the way you just expressed it there, I mean, someone somewhere maybe don't want it. I feel that, yeah, and that's not nice. You know what I'm saying? But I hope I'm wrong. But that just come into my head when you said that. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get it.
I do want to move on to probably the most talked about thing this week in regards to Conor Benn showing his face in front of the camera and doing an interview with Piers Morgan. First of all, did you get to watch that?
I did. I watched it. I didn't want to watch it, you know, and I don't know why I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to watch it for some reason. Anyway, I was glad I watched it. if I make sense, I was glad I watched it because I thought it was a very, very good interview, and it wasn't one-sided at all. It was a good interview. But listen, don't ask me my thoughts on that situation because it's not my business. But yeah.
Fair enough. I get that. One question I do want to ask you is, you know, obviously there's been a lot of failed drug tests in the past, and everyone's sort of shown themselves in front of the board to have a hearing. Carl Froch is saying, listen, he needs to show more respect to the board and sit in front of them and give them that hearing so we can have an open, you know, some clarity on what's going on. Do you agree with Carl there?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Carl Froch, I agree with him with most things, you know, 99.9%. I like him, and he's right there as well. Yeah.
Actually, one thing I did ask Carl was him versus Joe Calzaghe. What would he make? And he said, I'd either knock his head off or he'd beat me. Calzaghe would beat him by points. Do you think that would be the case? That's how you'd see it?
Yeah. He's got that right and all. What terrific, beautiful fighters they were, eh?
Great era of fighting. We have seen a lot of eras of fighting. Let's talk about that then. In the current era that we're in, do you feel like we match anything in the past, in recent times, or maybe it's below? How do you see this? How do you assess this era of boxers that we've got right now?
Well, like the boxers and the fighters, they're there, but like you say, they're not fighting. They're not having them big fights. So that is where we're robbing ourselves, or they are, the big fights. So you know what I mean? They had big fights, didn't they? I mean, look at Carl Froch in that Super 6 series. That made him, that built him. And they were fantastic fights. And I'll be honest, when he was in it, I thought, well, he can't win none of these, but he did. He done brilliant, didn't he? And all them fights, but it's just sad that the big fights ain't getting made. But Davis and Garcia has been made. Yeah, good. That's a big fight that they've managed to nail down. So let's hope Fury and Usyk can.
How dangerous is it for the sport that people don't start turning off from boxing because we're not getting the big fights? Someone's turned the lights off. But anyway, most of the fight fans are casuals, so they'll tune in. You know, majority of the percentage of fight fans or people that are going to watch a big fight are going to be the casual market. When you see that these big fights are not happening, and you see big numbers happening for a Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul fight, do you feel eventually that if we keep doing this to boxing, that people might just turn away, might start watching UFC, might start watching fights like Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, which have a lot more promotion?
No, I think boxing will always be there, and things are changing and evolving. I'm not sure if they're evolving in the right way, but they're changing and evolving. You've got to go with it, or you'll be left behind. But no, I think professional boxing at the elite level will be there as long as they give us the big fights, and we'll be there. But they won't be there if they don't give us the big fights. I know what you're saying. It's confusing, isn't it? Ain't confusing. It's frustrating.
What do you make of that? Tommy Fury, Jake Paul getting millions of pounds for an 8-rounder. You got to take your hats off to these guys, right?
1 million, 100%. There's no such thing as 1,000,000%. 100%, because look, they're two novices. It was the best fight for each other. For me as a coach, that was the best fight they've both had against each other. Brought them on and they're going to develop and grow from that fight. But listen, the money they made, good luck to them. Well done. Jake Paul is a genius, is he not?
Mark, I think that was an indication they were going to throw us out. They turned the lights off.
Trying to say something.
So thank you very much. Talk to Pro Box fans. Always a pleasure to talk to yourself, sir. Thank you.